Joining us now, it's Congressman Keith Self of the 3rd District of Texas, and it's Texas Day at the Capitol. Thank you for joining us, sir. You had quite a fiery, but I think robust and informative speech on the House floor regarding Sharia law. And we know as well your Governor, Greg Abbott, recently signing a law that bars Sharia compounds. So these organizations and residential developments that would impose religious rules, think of almost an HOA, but on those residents under Sharia law, which is usurping the authority of the United States Constitution and the Texas Constitution. Can you dive into not only your speech, but why Sharia can present such a problem in America?
Well, my speech covered the legality of Sharia. There are distinct elements that Sharia does not comport with the U.S. Constitution or U.S. law. I specifically mentioned the 13th Amendment, slavery. I specifically mentioned the 6th Amendment, an impartial jury. And I specifically mentioned the First Amendment for freedom of speech. There are elements of this legal system known as Sharia that do not comport with U.S. law. I then mentioned some others, such as child marriage, spousal abuse that's condoned. So there are other individuals as well. But that was my point. Sharia is a complete civilization. I'm reminded, and during the speech I said this, the Muslim lawyer in a U.S. court that said Islam is Sharia, Sharia is Islam. The two cannot be separated. It is a very strict legal code. Now, the governor signed the bill that you referred to several months ago, and yesterday he declared both the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR as terrorist organizations. So this is an important step. But I will tell you, both my speech and the governor's actions are words. Now we have to enforce it. And I really encourage citizens not to be intimidated, because Sharia is a legal code of intimidation against those that do not follow Sharia.
And we've seen this in Dearborn, Michigan, and some of these other areas of the country, including Minnesota as well, because it's backed up by far left policies in deep blue states. And I talk often, Congressman, on this unholy triumvirate we're experiencing of communism, globalism, Islamism, and not that those who practice the faith are not welcome nor allowed to be here in America, but it's the following of what you mentioned, Sharia, and that hardline basis that goes completely against American constitutional law. Now we have a mayor-elect in New York City who seems to follow these things, and he's going to meet with President Trump tomorrow. Mr. Mamdani, what are some of your concerns for New York City and potentially 2026 as we see more of these far-left socialist and candidates coming about that seem to hold these deeply disturbing views?
Well, I certainly hope that the New York City election is a wake-up call for America. Because we've kind of watched Dearborn be consumed by this. But New York City is the financial capital of the world, along with London. So this could be very devastating. Frankly, in my area, Dallas may become, instead of Wall Street, we may have everybody move to Y'all Street. And I will tell you that I think that this is a wake-up call, as I said, for America. Because look, even the moderate Muslims, and people talk to me about moderate Muslims all the time, they are considered apostates under Sharia, liable for death. So at some point, if the civilization jihad that they talk about is conducted, then they will probably submit to the civilization jihad. And I want to add that this is not theory. The FBI found the explanatory memorandum by the Muslim Brotherhood in 2004 in Maryland, and it is the plan for going forward to conquer North America.
Yes, and through our elections. So that's quite important that you bring that up, Congressman, that it is not a Republican right-wing talking point, as some other networks might mention. We'll dive in here at the right side of history where those breadcrumbs lead. And internationally, we look at Sudan and Nigeria. President Trump very concerned about this. Is there a congressional response to the Christian genocide that takes place in Africa and the Middle East, something that the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of even Saudi Arabia shares in President Trump's concerns?
Yes, there definitely is. And look, the government of Nigeria is trying to put this off. but it is definitely, when you look at the percentages, the Christians in Nigeria are being killed at a greater percentage. It is definitely against the Christians in Nigeria. And yes, there are bills in Congress working their way through now that address this. And frankly, there may be a codel to Nigeria. I'm not going to give more than that, but one of my colleagues is working on a codel to go to Nigeria just before Christmas, because if you remember back to the Christmas massacre several years ago, we want to go there as a message. So yes, Congress is very concerned about this, very aware of it, and are taking steps.
Can you pass resolutions, or what can you do specifically bill-wise to take a strong stand against this, not only domestically, but throughout the world?
We can pass resolutions, but again, what we do is mainly messaging. We need enforcement, and that's the executive branch. I'm very pleased that President Trump has taken a note of this, and I hope that he will follow through. Now, you may remember that Nigeria is now a country of particular concern, which is a very strong statement by the administration. It says that they are watching what's going on. So we need to use the bully pulpit that the U.S. has around the world. Now, I chair the Europe subcommittee, but there are subcommittee chairmen that are taking the bully pulpit. The president is taking the bully pulpit to make sure that the world knows that we are standing against this.
Yes, and we appreciate that immensely, standing for religious liberty in this country. Now, the Epstein files passing overwhelmingly. Only Clay Higgins, the Republican congressman from Louisiana, voting no on the specific concerns that the speaker and Republican leadership seem to have on the releasing of potentially, if this happens in the future, that victims could be exploited potentially. And then the Senate had, of course, that unanimous voice vote that led to President Trump's signature just yesterday. But it seems as if your Democrat colleagues, from Ms. Plaskett, the delegate in the Virgin Islands, to Representative Chairfullis McCormick, with the misuse of FEMA aid of around $5 million, allegedly, could lead up to a 53-year prison sentence if she is ultimately found guilty, but being indicted there. And Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, with emails apparently soliciting funds from the convicted sex offender back in 2013. What say you with all this? Is there still stuff to dig up and find out? And how can we move forward from an individual who seems to be making news headlines even after his death?
Well, frankly, what we passed is a demand for more transparency. Yes, there are issues with what we passed yesterday, but we did pass it, and it went to the president's desk, and he signed it. Now, the Oversight Committee in Congress is doing a better job, a deeper dig into exactly what Epstein was about. So I think that they will come up with a stronger bill. But look, the people that say the victims are going to be uncovered because of the one that we passed yesterday, you should have seen the gallery in the House when we passed it. There were at least 50 people up there that were applauding our efforts. And they were victims themselves, and certainly some family members as well. So we want transparency, and that's what that bill did. Were there some problems with it, as the speaker has laid out? Yes. But we are starting to move forward with transparency. I believe the Oversight Committee will do a better job of getting to the bottom of it with their investigation powers.
And Chairman Comer speaking to that he will treat the Clintons, the former president and Secretary of State, like Steve Bannon was treated under the Democrats. And if they ignore a congressional subpoena, it may cause troubles legally down the road. So we'll watch that closely, Congressman, as I'm going to rattle off some great successes. 10 months since President Trump took office, and the Republican Congress since January 3rd of this year. 119,000 jobs added in September. The biggest tax cuts in U.S. history with the One Big Beautiful Bill. A strong and secure border. Your state, every state's a border state, but Texas right there big time, especially those districts right up against the Mexican border. Safer cities, massive regulatory reform, slash prices on prescriptions, and rooting out the waste, fraud, and abuse. So are you concerned at all that some Republican colleagues trying to censure one another, and the 11th commandment, we see this kind of battle and war of words the past 10 days. Is it a concern going into the Thanksgiving holiday?
Well, certainly it is, but there are things going on that we need to hold the line in terms of decorum and legality in Congress. Look, this is why the Senate is talking about doing away with the cloture vote. This is not the world of 10 years ago, of 15 years ago. We now have a Democrat Party that is basically the party of chaos and destruction. We could go through the issues, but we have to stand against that. Now, in the Republican Party, I understand your concern, and I am very carefully with my office going through precedent when we talk about censuring colleagues. So I will make very careful votes as we move forward.
Yes, and with that as well, we have a potential for outlawing insider trading. Representative Anapolina Luna speaking to that Mr. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, mentioning to her they're going to move forward on that because we've seen a lot of that, especially from the last speaker, Miss Nancy Pelosi, taking advantage and becoming very handsomely wealthy after being in Congress. Where do you stand on this, and do you see this being a big vote in the upcoming session?
I will vote for that to do away with insider trading in a Texas minute. This will be a strong vote, and I believe that it will pass. The people that say they might need to tap into their funds for their children's education, put it in a blind trust and use it out of a blind trust. But do not have control of it. Do not do insider trading. Don't even be able to do insider trading. This would go a long way to restoring the faith of the American people in the U.S. Congress. I think we ought to do it, and I think we ought to do it as soon as possible.
Congressman Keith Self of the 3rd District of Texas, a very happy Texas Day to you, sir, at the Capitol, and a happy Thanksgiving. Please come back and see us soon on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thank you very much.
And as we break down the latest news here at RSBN, roughly 17 minutes from now, we will have the superstar Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, right there at the White House to hold a press briefing at the top of the hour. We'll take a quick commercial break, stay at the right side of history, and check out this